Well, Michael, thank you for the lovely introduction. I'm just going to ask one thing. I just want to plug this in, so. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. Let's. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was looking elsewhere. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, thank you. It's very nice to be here this morning. And yeah, this is quite a topic. I've been listening to comments from people over the last few days because a lot of people here became aware that I was going to talk about AI and that we've been exploring this in depth. And so I just grabbed 3 quick notes. I wanted to write them down. AI will be the most transformative technologies we'll ever experience in our lifetime. If some of you like myself are old enough to remember when we didn't have email, and then when the web came along, we thought, wow, this is something, nothing comes even close to what we're going to experience with AI. And I've tried to encapsulate in a single sentence what it's able to do. And what AI enables you to do is go from the problem you're trying to solve to a recommended solution without all those intermediate steps in the middle. So the time saving is incredible. It still to this day impresses me what we're able to do. And it allows us to communicate and collaborate with kind of our collective experiences. And that's very powerful stuff. So what I'm going to take you through, and what I hope you walk away from today is not just listening to a presentation and me talking. These are going to be really practical applications that you should be able to go home and know what you're able to apply. Okay, so I'm going to do a little primer first, and because I think it's important to kind of understand the background before I get into the meat of this. One is that generative AI really excels at food and beverage, and part of that is because there's tremendous content, almost more so than, try and pick another topic that has more information that's publicly available than food and beverage, and it's hard to find it. Food blogs dominate the communication. It's vast training material. The number one category is food related in blogs, 43%, then lifestyle, then travel. So 66% of all blogs that are published, let's say over the last 10 years, and it's just accelerating, are in some way touch food and beverage. So there's this tremendous amount of data available. So it's millions upon millions of websites and blogs and food reviews and forums and scientific papers, and the broad activity is just absolutely incredible. So that's the training material that went into making AI for food so incredible. The second one is creativity. We all read the headlines on AI, and it talks about AI can hallucinate and it can dream. And the reality of that is, thank goodness, because there's no creativity that's born of just pure logic and facts. You have to dream. You have to think about stuff. And because neural networks, we're all created around how do we mimic the human, brain experience. It's all about creativity. If you're familiar with the Torrance test, I highly recommend you look it up. You want to scare yourself, take it. And it's a way to measure creativity, not about a single topic, but just kind of your creative horsepower. Kind of like what IQ is intelligence, the Torrance test is just how good are you at just thinking up things out of the blue. They've just done some testing on the large language models, came out in the top 1% of creative thinkers. And this was against control groups done at Dartmouth. So, there's all this evidence just piling up, in terms of just how, what a powerful tool this is. So before the food lab, Eva worked with me. We created a survey because I didn't know what people wanted to learn about AI today. And I certainly didn't want to stand up here and talk about things that were irrelevant or maybe you knew. So we sent out 9 questions and an open end. And we looked at all the responses. These were the top 4. So all I'm going to do now until I stop talking is address each one of these. And this is what you selected. So the first one is using AI to profile and understand the environmental impact of a product or recipe. I mean, that's core to the conversation we've been having the last couple days, kind of the last 10 years of the food lab. Using AI to estimate the nutritional value of a product or a recipe. This is going to shock you. It's also going to be the live demo. I have 2 live demos coming up. It got mentioned on stage. The single most dangerous thing you can do in a presentation is a live technology demo. So I'm going to do 2 of them. One that's guaranteed to go well, and one that's going to be unexpected. How to identify and type consumers and professionals into segments based on their behaviors and attitudes. With the right kind of questioning and probing, we could do one-on-one interviews with everybody in the room. We could say, okay, here's the group that's interested in this and that, and they have these skills, and you start bucketing and segmenting people, and this is something AI does phenomenally well and incredibly fast. Last one is AI used to understand very small or niche behaviors and categories. And I'll get into why that works so well. So the first thing we have to do is just take a step back. And this graphic kind of illustrates, in my mind, this extremely deep field of knowledge that's been created with the large language models and all the training that's gone into them. Okay, this is not to scale. We are here. We're right here. This is what we know. And we all know different things. Then you do secondary research. This is the Google bubble. You open up a Google search page. You start searching for something. You take your knowledge and you expand it. Then those of us who work for or with large organizations who spend money on consumer research or other types of research, then you have the custom proprietary knowledge bubble. And it ends there. But with AI, it doesn't end there. This is just so vast. And you have now instant access to this at no or extraordinarily low cost. It changes everything. The economic model on information has just been so abruptly disrupted over the past year, it's hard to define it. Okay. I'm going to go through my 5 guiding principles. The first one is RI plus AI. RI stands for real intelligence. AI, I read a great quote, I wish I wrote down who the tech writer was, suggests that AI is about as smart as a toaster. It's all about the inputs. This is truly about you and everyone you know and everyone in the room. You need the real intelligence to guide the artificial intelligence. And the smarter you are at collaborating with AI, using it as a thought partner, you're going to get so much more out of it. It's all about RI plus AI. This is one of 2 things I want you to take away from today and really remember. Next one is AI is a thought partner. It will give you perspectives and options from experience, and we're talking like 10,000 prompts or more over the last year. It will rarely give you the answer, but it's a wonderful, wonderful thought partner. Think of it as it's just another seat at the table. It's the empty seat next to Matt here. It's another person in the room. You can get opinions from it. Any meeting you're in, just pull up an empty chair. Then call that the AI chair. It's just another opinion, and you're going to accept those opinions or reject those opinions, but probably very politely. Its superpowers is speed, depth of knowledge. It's massively quantified information. What it's really bad at, which will get better in the future, current events. Randall, don't look up the batting average from the third game of the World Series. We watched the World Series together last night at dinner. It's really bad at kind of picking out those little facts out of the ether. Quantified results, it's getting better all the time. I'm going to show a quantified result example today that actually I couldn't have done 60 days ago. But when you ask it to do math, it's actually pretty good at it. And sources. AI was designed to think and predict. It's not a search engine. Don't treat it like a search engine. I often like to talk to people about using AI for the first time, and I'll say, what's your favorite recipe for, I don't know, brownies? And say, oh yeah, I do this, this, and this. Well, what's the source? Where'd you get that information? And then you realize you don't know. You remember, you have the knowledge, but you have no idea where the source was because it was probably, who knows how many recipes you looked at. AI is an exceptionally good proxy for consumers and industry professionals. And keep in mind that everything I'm talking about today is food and beverage. This is my learning, on the food and beverage industry. Probably this would apply to the automotive industry or any other thing, but this is all about food and beverage. You can create food-centric personas of either consumers who are really interested in a category or a way of cooking or recipes or whatever, or you can create subject matter experts to help you understand something. So when we create consumer personas, we define them by demographics, behaviors, attitudes, what they like, what they don't like, what are their preferences. And because all this incredible data on food and beverage was trained, you have access to all of this kind of collective thinking. Subject matter experts, you want to talk to a food scientist, you want to talk to a chef, you have a chemist, you need a material science expert to help you figure out packaging, processing and operations, any kind of unique expertise. It's a wonderful way to dip into these subject matter experts that you don't have to spend your time now tracking them down and finding a time to talk to them. You can just do it through AI in a really unique way. Exploration is far and away the #1 benefit. It is the superpower that connects you to these billion points of data, a trillion parameters. It's this incredible body of knowledge, and it's really amazing. So I just wanted to this is now to scale. Okay, we are here, somewhere right on the edge there. And again, RI drives AI. It's just a thought partner. Don't look at it for the answer. It's a really good proxy, and exploration is the benefit. Okay, I'm almost done with the primer. Again, search is really different than AI. When you go to search, you're looking for facts, you're looking for sources, you're looking for current events. This is something, this is the 25 years of Google, this has come as close to perfecting that as possible. AI is perceptions, perspective, and creativity. Don't confuse the two. Don't try and use one to do the other or the other to do one. It's really different. And in my opinion, it's black and white with on a Venn diagram. There's a thin line of gray area in the middle. Okay. How to get the best results out of AI. Now we're coming up with the second thing I want everyone to remember, RI plus AI. And I'm going to give an example first that's non-food. So I told someone in my office 6 weeks ago, they said, oh, I see you're going to be out. I'm going to Google, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to talk about AI. And he said, oh, Seattle. Yeah, we want to go to Seattle. And he said, I went to AI, and I did a search for create an itinerary for a weekend in Seattle. You know, I got this list of stuff, but it's kind of everything we did before. So I don't know if AI is really a good tool. So I had a conversation. I said, well, you got to write a better prompt. The prompt you write is not create an itinerary for a weekend in Seattle. Let me clear my throat. Could I have some water? Thank you. Here's an excellent prompt. Think of it as a briefing. Think of it as you're talking to a travel agent, someone you know. So here's the prompt. I need assistance in planning a trip to Seattle in early June 2024. Knows when you want to go. It's going to take weather into consideration, you know, all kinds of other stuff. I have 3 days, so now it knows how long. Thank you, Matt. I have a 10-year-old son, 13-year-old daughter. We're seasoned travelers, but we've never been to Seattle. You can read this. We enjoy the outdoors. My wife and I love coffee, want to experience it. We have a car, don't mind getting up early. Kids enjoy exploring. What would be a good itinerary? The results you will get for the extra 2 minutes. That's going up and down. Thank you. For the extra 2 minutes that it took to write that briefing, the result you'll get from AI will be, I don't have a metric, 100-fold better, 1,000-fold better. So keep in mind, AI will work just as hard. It's going to put billions of dollars of technology and research to work for you to say, give me an itinerary for Seattle versus the long prompt. It's going to work just as hard. So, you know, don't waste your time. You know, get the most out of it you can. You don't want to get a false sense of accomplishment by just writing a really weak prompt. Every prompt is a briefing, like I mentioned a moment before. Just adding a few extra words makes a gigantic difference. And this is the second thing I want you to remember. RI plus AI, and now we're going to talk about word math. Word math is the basic principle for you to get the absolute most information and the best guidance and the best collaboration you can get with AI. So we're talking about this now. Word math. This is, like I said, the enabling principle. Think of it as like arithmetic. It's the same thing. But instead of numbers, you're just now going to use words and just kind of get that concept in your head. So here's how word math works. 2 plus 17 minus 12 equals 7. I did not write 2 plus 2 equals 4 because that'd be terrible. 19 divided by 4 times 73 minus 19 is 256.5. Much better. It's a lot more detail, right? You know, there's more detail. Word math. Now, so here's a prompt to help develop this idea for some new ramen. Create, okay, so now you're telling it what to do. You need help creating something. Now it's gonna interpret that, I'll tell you. 1, new idea, okay, for a ramen recipe. Word math, right? You're connecting the words. This is a terrible prompt, but it does demonstrate word math.
Do you have to put the pluses in?
No, I'm just using that for the illustration. But I'm glad you said that. I will not do that the next time I present this. No, you don't need the pluses. I'm just being overly literal on how word math works. So that's a really weak prompt, and you're going to get really general, very unguided information. Here's a better prompt. Create a new idea for a ramen recipe that uses smoked pork. Aha, you've got, now you're giving some guardrails. And soba noodles, much more information, much more guidance. In our experience, our 10,000 prompts, yes?
How will we know if what presents back is new?
Let's go to the next prompt. Thank you. I got an extra 5. I got an extra 5 for you, you know, at lunch. Okay. This is the Uber prompt. This is what you want to learn. This is how you want to learn to write a prompt. I need, what is it? I need, I have to, whatever. I need to create new ideas for ramen to sell at a cafe. Holy smokes, you've just changed the whole paradigm. The guardrails have changed dramatically now, and it knows how to interpret that. It understands what that is. The customers are mostly young adults, 21 to 30 years old. This is critical information. They're pretty experimental with food. That's very good for it to know. That'll kind of amp up the creativity. I notice they tend to enjoy spicier dishes, those that include a lot of vegetables and less meat. Now you're really giving it guidance. And tend to eat ramen later in the evening. Interesting observation, probably unique to that cafe. This isn't just applied anywhere. They also are most likely to order beer with ramen. I'd like to make sure there is a logical pairing with beer. Here the operator is just trying to put something really profitable, onto the check. Please recommend 3 new recipes for ramen that takes all this into consideration, along with the need for short service times with a staff that has limited cooking skills. This is the Uber prompt. Not create a new idea for a ramen recipe, but this is where we start. This is like crawling, learning to crawl. The next one is learning to walk. And this is running. I mean, this is winning the Olympic 100 meters. So by far, the quality of the outcome you'll get when you write these Uber prompts and you apply word math, if you start looking at, if you put all the plus signs between all these segments of information, because all AI is doing is predicting the next word, the next thought, and it needs all that to help look forward. So RI plus AI word map. Only 2 things I really want you to take away from today. Using AI to profile and understand environmental impact. This is also fascinating. So this is a real analysis that I'm sharing with you. The prompt was everything you see on this page. So this is a very long, involved prompt. It's also complex, is interrelated, and it's also what's called conditional prompting. So it's compare and contrast the carbon footprint, water usage, and overall sustainability profile for the following sandwiches. Then recommend 3 ways to improve the sustainability of each without sacrificing flavor. This is, if the 6 people who we thought were best able to answer this question in this room sat together at lunch, this is a really hard task to do. Very difficult. You can do it really fast with AI. So I put in roast beef, 3 ounces of roast beef, sesame seed bun, 3 ounces Black Forest ham, 1 ounce of cheese, turkey sandwich, 3 ounces of roasted turkey, and a croissant roll, bib lettuce, slice of tomato. One of the things we had in the survey was, do you want to learn how to do AI images? This is all AI images. None of this is stock photography or stuff I grabbed off of Google. These are the descriptions with maybe a little more context that I dropped into an image generator. We really like Midjourney, and you spit out these sandwiches. It's really important to do this sometimes to make sure you've described it properly. Did you write a good description? Well, let's see what it looks like. And then you look at the croissant sandwich with the turkey and everything. Yes, that's what I want. And you can move on. So you include all this, very, very complex, interrelated, and this is what we get. And this is the output. The roast beef sandwich. Carbon footprint. Beef has a high carbon footprint due to methane emissions, cows, resources for feed and pasture. You could ask in the prompt how much information you want. Do you want a couple sentences? Do you want a notion? Do you want a 3-page report about the carbon footprint? All of these things, when you learn word math and you learn how to write extraordinary prompts, you can get tremendous amount of information. Water usage, overall sustainability, it's one of the least sustainability. Suggestions, which is, I always ask for suggestions. I just never kind of accept the output. It said switch to grass-fed beef, and I went, well, yes, that's great. So now if you were actually here at Google, working on a menu for a cafe or something you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, ask for these kind of suggestions. Use organic or local ingredients, really good suggestion. The last one just kind of totally caught me off guard. Replace mayo with avocado, and I went, yes, what a great idea. I love avocado with beef. Beef fajitas with some mayo and with some avocado. I mean, it's just, the avocado beef thing is phenomenal. So avocados can provide the creaminess of mayo, but with a much lower environmental impact. I also asked it that the suggestions would help it taste better. So, I mean, these were just some great recommendations. The ham sandwich, now it's comparing it. Remember I said it was interrelated to each other? Now it's comparing it to the pork for the ham compared to beef. So it's starting to compare and contrast things. Again, you write a bigger, more inclusive prompt, you can get even more information than this. Less water sensitive, overall sustainability, it said, was moderate. Its suggestion was use whole grain breads, put more vegetables in the sandwich. It had some really, really good ideas, and they're simple, they're not complex. Again, you want complexity, ask for it. Turkey sandwich, poultry has the lowest carbon footprint compared to both beef and pork. Water usage, overall sustainability was moderate to high. It said to choose free-range turkey, opt for sustainable bread rather than a buttery croissant, choose a whole grain roll. I don't know, I like the croissant with the turkey. Consider using a plant-based cheese. I was like, well, yes, this really makes sense. You could use a lot of the plant-based cheese, they're very mild in flavor. It's not like you're relying on a sharp cheddar with beef, to get that contrast, but the plant-based cheeses could work really well with something like this. So now you're taking the most sustainable meat, adding the most sustainable cheese to it. Yeah, let's get rid of the croissant and do something a little healthier, a little more sustainable, but it was really, really good suggestions. This is all direct output. None of this is edited, so you get a sense of this. Sometimes it's hard to digest. Oh, that's funny. All of this information. It's pretty funny. So, especially when you're comparing and contrasting things, when you're using AI, it's working for you. Don't work for it. Have AI work for you. Just ask for a chart. I asked for a chart, and it took everything and it put it into a chart for me. I mean, and it takes seconds to do this. And you can cut and paste these, you can put them in other documents. It even added, this was not my suggestion, it added animal welfare, which I thought was really interesting. There was something that when it was kind of reviewing all the inputs and the output, it was like, hey, Steve, you forgot to ask about animal welfare, so it included animal welfare. The other thing I asked it to do, in a very subtle way, I allowed it to autonomously create its own scoring system. I did not give it a scoring system. I could have said, the scoring system will be 60% carbon footprint, 22% water, chemical you could have kind of given it a formula, but I just allowed it to autonomously create its own score. And it did a wonderful job. So I can look across, not just read, but kind of on a relative basis. And again, it's not the answer, but it was an easy way to start comparing. If this was a 3 and a 4, what it would be telling me is, these are really similar to each other, regardless of the qualitative output, but this helped quantitatively do the output. And then I could have asked, well, do the original recipe versus the optimized. You can just do follow-up questions, because once you're in a conversation with AI, It's like being in a conversation with anybody else. And you just keep asking follow-up conversations, and you get a lot of cool information. So I just want to make a note here. This was in Seattle. So then I said, oh, what happens if we're in Denver? So it changed. Suddenly roast beef wasn't that bad. And there's follow-up questions I don't have here, and I talked about, hey, I can get beef locally. I started asking questions, and it just had availability of some ingredients. So the scores started coming up and went from a 3 to a 4, went to a 5, it stayed at a 7. It really didn't impact the turkey very much, but it did take the ham and the beef up. I also did it for 1,000 sandwiches. I ran this simulation at 10,000 sandwiches. You can do this around scale, and you'll learn all kinds of insights. Is this fun?
The data's wrong, though. That's the thing. It's not, a lot of the suggestions won't help the footprint. They're like right direction, but a lot is off.
Oh, great. So what you need to do is go write your own prompt, ask your own follow-up questions to get to the response that you want. Write your own prompts, ask the follow-up information you want, include the level of detail that you want, and start probing for how deep you can go. Again, this is not getting to the answer. This is guidance, it's recommendations, it's helping you paint big pictures. That's how we're using it. So using AI to estimate the nutritional value of a product. This is pretty straightforward. So I took one of the sandwiches, and I just asked it to estimate the nutrition facts panel for the following sandwich. And I took the turkey sandwich, and I just added a little bit more information because it was going to do an estimated nutrition facts panel. So the croissant roll is now 2 ounces, a tablespoon of mayo, ounce of mild cheddar cheese, 2 bibs of lettuce, 1/4-inch slice of tomato. Here comes the live. Let's see how the live. Bear with me, my computer went to sleep. Oh, thank you guys. Okay, so that description now, so this is using Bard. Bard's really good at this. You're welcome. We've used all the models over the past year. Just like people, they all have different strengths and weaknesses. And this happens to be something in particular that Bard is really good at. So you just need to figure out, and sometimes it's even how you write the prompts, that they all have this. But Bard had a huge upgrade 6-7 weeks ago, and it really changed. It was beautiful. So took that description, drop it in Bard. So you have a stopwatch. Here you go. So we use some really interesting software for doing our new product development, product called Genesis. You spend thousands of dollars a year on it. But if you just need to start modeling out some stuff, you can use Bard. Just write good descriptions. So it said 570 calories. You can read all this. So it gave all the nutrition facts panel information. Suggestions to improve the flavor of the sandwich. Whole wheat bread, pumpernickel, rye. So then it created a new sandwich. It went down to 480 calories. The fat was reduced, tremendously. Dietary fiber came up. So, even when you're doing nutritional modeling, you can ask it to do, many different permutations and combinations so you can compare them to each other. Now that I'm sitting here, I probably should have said, put it into a chart and put it side by side, compare it to each other. So they're just these really great ways to, get at guidance for yourself. Okay, so we can switch back to the other. And now I have 4 minutes. Oh, so I actually skipped this. I wrote a better prompt. Here was the original prompt. Well, let's not go backwards. Let's just go forwards. Identifying types of consumers and professionals. Here's creating a persona. And I created the persona of, I told AI I wanted to learn about regenerative agriculture, create the persona of a PhD agronomist who has 15 years experience working with regenerative agriculture, theory and practice. I have several questions I'd like to ask the persona. So when you tell AI, when you put these guardrails, and you say, this is the kind of person that I want information and I want to have a conversation with, it created this, Dr. Alex Morgan. It was a fabulous, did a really good job. And then, what did I ask it? What pulses thrive using regenerative agriculture? And he talks about it, they're nitrogen fixing, talks about lentils, peas, chickpeas. You can just start, and you can just go deeper and deeper and deeper and get suggestions and, kind of create, a framework for your thinking. You want me to go backwards? Here. I saw a lot of cameras come up, so. Okay. This is a consumer segment now. That was a professional. You can prompt for, with the holidays coming up, a lot of people want to be cooking with cranberries. Create 3 consumer groups defined by their usage in these profiles. And it created 3 different groups for me. A group of traditionalists who were defined in a certain way. They like to make classic cranberry sauce. This was all done images via AI. There's a group of health-conscious consumers. They had some very different characteristics. They want to do these cranberry oatmeal bars that I created with AI. And then there were the adventurous foodies, and it suggested, hey, they like chutney. So let's do a cranberry chutney. And then I was just there, and I said, well, can I have the recipe for the cranberry oatmeal bars? And it fabricated a recipe out of the blue. So again, this is all part of a conversation. I'm going to, a quick announcement, and I'm doing a demo, and then I'm done. So this came out of the food lab. It came out of actually about a 1.5 year conversation, but then last spring, Adam Brumberg from Cornell, who's not here, he couldn't be here today, and I had this conversation in my office. He saw one of the early AI demos, actually one of the first ones that Michael saw, and we're talking, I said, Michael, I want to create an AI lab at Cornell. He said, we're in. We kicked it off last Thursday. So, what I want to offer to everybody in the group, if there are areas of AI with food and beverage that you would like to explore, send those requests to me. These could be really good tasks for the students that we have as part of the AI lab at Cornell. We're also in the process of setting up a couple more labs at universities. So we're pushing out really hard in this area. So I have a minute. I have a special guest that I've invited to today's meeting. Julie, are you here with me?
Yes, I'm here. Ready to continue our conversation about cooking with nuts and their sustainability. Do you have any specific questions or topics you'd like to explore further?
Oh, yeah. Hey, thank you. I just want you to know I'm in Seattle. I'm in a room with about 100 people. It's raining outside. I've only got about a minute to go, so we'll make this quick. With the holidays coming up, do you have...
Absolutely. Let's make the most of our minute.
me off.
Cooking with nuts is great for flavor and nutrition.
Okay.
Remember, almonds need a lot of water, but other nuts are more sustainable. Try using nuts in salads or as meat substitutes. Also, consider local and organic options for sustainability. Quick tip, toasting nuts can enhance their flavor in any dish. Hope this
Thank you. Thank you for interrupting me, too. I will try not to take a breath between sentences. Hey, do you have a couple walnut ideas for Thanksgiving coming up?
Of course. For Thanksgiving, walnuts can be a star ingredient. Try a walnut and cranberry stuffing. It's a delightful twist on traditional stuffing. Also, consider a roasted Brussels sprouts and walnut salad. The nuttiness pairs perfectly with the earthy sprouts. Lastly, a classic, walnut pie. Both of these ideas can elevate traditional Thanksgiving dishes with the nutty goodness of walnuts. Enjoy your Thanksgiving preparations. Anything else you'd like to know?
Yes, let's go back to sustainability for a moment. Any ideas for how to make growing almonds more sustainable?
Certainly, there are a few strategies to make almond farming more sustainable. 1, water efficiency. Using drip irrigation systems can greatly reduce water consumption, making it a more sustainable choice. 2, bee health. Rotating crops and planting bee-friendly flowers can help support bee populations. Also, reducing the need for transporting bees by encouraging local bee populations can be beneficial. 3, organic farming. Minimizing or eliminating pesticide use by adopting organic farming practices helps protect the environment. 4, cover crops. Planting cover crops can improve soil health, reduce erosion, and even improve water efficiency. 5, renewable energy. Using solar or wind power for farm operations can reduce the carbon footprint. Each of these steps can contribute to a more sustainable way of growing almonds. It's all about finding the right balance and making incremental improvements. Do you have any thoughts on these strategies or any specific areas you're interested in?
No, thank you. Those were great ideas. I need to go. Hey, could you just tell us a joke about nuts before I leave you today?
Absolutely. Here's a nutty joke for you. Why don't nuts ever tell secrets in a forest? Because the trees might walnut. Hope that brings a smile to everyone's face. Have a great day.
Stick to your day job. I don't think comedy is in your future, but thank you and goodbye from everyone here in Seattle.